everyone, and welcome to the Quilt Show. In this hoop, we have Lynda Rimmers. In this hoop, we have Annie Moody. Such beautiful ladies. And you know what? When we put them together, we have the Hoop Sisters. Stick around and see their wonderful, beautiful, innovative quilts. We're going to have a fun show. You won't want to miss it. Stay tuned. Day for quilting with your co-hosts on the Quilt Show, Alex Anderson and Ricky Timms.
Welcome to the Quilt Show, everyone. Alex, you know sometimes you go out on the basketball court and hoop it up. Well, you don't think of quilters as hooping it up, but today we're going to hoop it up. Audience, help me. Hoop, 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 hoop. Absolutely, because we do have the Hoop Sisters on the Quilt Show. But up first, Alex, you've got a really fun project to share with everybody.
That's right. I want to start with the original pattern that I did. It was called Hot Flash or Fan Dance, depending on where you are in your life station. But I found that these were really easy to make. It's just simply paper piecing and a little bit of applique, curve piecing, and all that. Well, then I got asked to make a quilt that you might have found in the 30s.
Right.
And I instantly thought of Dresden Plate.
Right.
Probably because my grandma made one.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, how am I going to do that? And then I thought, go to that pattern. So let's take a look at the quilt itself. And it's not a typical Dresden Plate. It's different. But also, there's ricrac on the centers.
And that's one of the tricks you're going to show us here, okay?
And I think it's just adorable. I want to say that it's hand-quilted by an Amish woman, and I don't know her name, but I love this quilt.
It's beautiful. Okay. All right, so where do we start?
So let's start with the foundation paper piecing. Okay. I love this particular product. It's the Quilter Select Print and Piece. And the reason I love it, it's a fiber, and you can do your paper piecing on it, and you can leave it in, and 50% of it will wash away.
Yay, so no removing the paper.
Correct.
Now, here's a question. If it gets washed, does it then clump up, or does it just stay kind of put?
No, kind of just stays put.
Yay.
Okay, so the one trick when you're putting this into the printer, unless you have a snazzy printer, just feed it one at a time, because it is a fiber, and it will grab the next piece.
Right, so it'll pull 2 or 3 pieces through it, so just one sheet at a time. Okay,
exactly.
Cool.
And so what you want to do for your spokes, I believe they're 2 3/4 by about 5 3/4. I always like to fussy cut. I make myself a big fat pile, and then I just pull randomly.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And one of the things I'll say with those spoke fabrics is that you have to remember it has to go seam allowance wider than the widest part, and sometimes it's very deceptive.
Right. So when you do foundation paper piecing, you got to turn your brain around, and I hope you have my back here.
I got your back.
Okay.
I do.
So you have the printed side, I'm gonna work on number 1. So I'm gonna take this particular green, and I'm going to overlap line 1 and 2, and I'm hoping the camera can see this. Let's try it this way. You want to make sure, let's see, here we go.
You see through.
Yeah, you see through, and you can see that I'm overlapping between 1 and 2, okay? Then I'm going to take number 2 fabric, and I'm going to align it.
Right sides together.
Right sides together. And I'm going to go over to my sewing machine, and it's always wise when you're foundation paper piecing that you shrink up your stitches a little bit.
I do.
What is the number?
I do
I don't
a
even know.
1.5 when I'm doing it, because I still want to be able to unsew in the event that I mess up.
Stuff happens. And so I just sew along here. Oh, I forgot to do what I say, right? Or do what I tell you, not what I do, okay, here. And the reason you want to tighten it up is if you are just using regular paper, it puts stress on the stitches when you pull out the paper.
And it perforates the paper more too, and it's easier to take off.
And then what I do is you can finger press, or you can go to an iron, or I learned this little trick, these little wooden... It's just whatever works for you. But the bottom line is you want to get that flat. Okay, now I'm going to come back over here. And I know you just do it free form, but I'm not that free of a spirit. I take a card, I put it on the line of number between 2 and 3, I go like this, fold it back. I love this little add a quarter ruler. It's got a lip on it, and you slide it on here, and then you just cut it. Now, Ricky does just do it by eyeballing it. You could do it either way, it doesn't matter. This gives you the next line to line up the next fabric onto, and then I go back, I sew again, and I will come back over to where you are, and we will carry on. This is really a very, very easy, simple block. I was surprised at that.
Yeah, it is. But here's the other thing. I want to say that when it comes to the flip and sew aspect of this, whatever's in your wheelhouse is what you want to do.
Right.
Because this is what you're comfortable with, and it works.
Right.
And we do it a slightly different way, but the end result is the same.
Right. And so it goes. I'm going to put this in. I'm going to put on my add a quarter. And the reason I like an add a quarter is I would be inclined just to cut right along. I'd forget to do the 1/4 inch.
Right, sure.
You know, so there we go.
And
okay.
Here we really go.
Right, here it is finished. So the next thing I do is I use a ruler to get the ends. Oh, you've got, this is your seam allowance, this is your cut line, all right? So I'm going to cut on the outside.
Well, the first one's your stitching line.
Stitching, right,
yeah,
right,
the
right,
first
right,
one's
thank
your
you.
The inside one is your stitching line. The out one is the added
1/4
inch seam allowance.
And then go like this.
And it's interesting to me too, because normally I would have normally cut my piece before, but I like that you had the option of doing it after.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You go, what are you doing? I haven't seen that before. So you do what's in your wheelhouse.
Absolutely.
And then okay, here we go. Love that when it happens, right?
Well, you know what? You're going to have to do some workout, you know? You needed a little more elbow grease, Alex.
How about a new blade? Let's start with that. Okay, so I got that. Now I've got to cut the inside, and I would just do that with my scissors because this is a tighter curve, or maybe you have a smaller rotary cutter to do a tighter curve.
Sure.
Okay, so I go like that.
There it is.
Okay, now I've got to put the outside pie wedge on. So here I have cut it out, and you want to make sure when you cut it out that the outside edge is on the straight of grain.
Right, and there's a template for that in your pattern.
Yes, yes. So what I do is I find the center, and I'm going to line this center up to that center.
And it happens to be a seam, right?
Yep.
Yay.
So I'm going to put that there. Okay. I'm going to drop in a pin, and then I'm just going to work my way around, and I do pin a lot on this, all right?
Well, I can see that's exactly what you did here.
Right.
You've got the whole thing pinned, and it's really, it's laying flat. It's got ruffles, but it's flat where it needs to be sewn.
And you can either sew it from, well, let me go. So, let me show you one thing that might happen that's always kind of like, how does that happen? You end up with extra on the end. Well, wouldn't you know, this one works out exactly right.
It's supposed to. Yay, yay.
But sometimes you end up with extra.
Here's one that has a little extra.
Right.
Let's look at that.
No big deal. No big deal. And you can stitch it either from this side or on the line. It's that simple.
Okay.
Okay? So then what you do is you piece all 4 of them together, and you end up with a big, giant hole in the middle.
I can't quite call it a 4-patch, but it kind of is a 4-patch.
Kind of is a 4-patch.
Because we don't have the center seam to match, but you've got to put these 2 and those 2 and then sew the sides.
Because on the fan one, you just did them singularly. You didn't make this big donut hole thing.
Right.
Okay? I thought, here, why don't you press that? Because this one is goofy and I'd like to fix it.
I can do that.
I was commissioned to work in 30s fabrics and bead sacks and stuff like that, and that's not really my thing. So I wanted to add a little ta-da to it. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. You've got this weirdo-ness hanging over here. No big deal. I just make sure that this is on this line and this is on this line, meaning that it's not cockeye or something like that.
Right.
So I just trim it off. Yay, on both sides. And then I piece it together. I'll show you how I pieced it together. I probably would do the 2 halves and then do these things, but I just sewed this together just like there wasn't any fiber on it. Just sew it right on the line.
Because the printing piece is so fine
so soft.
that it's not really causing that much bulk in the seams.
So we're just going to say I've got all 4.
Okay.
Okay, so how do I know what to do for the circle?
I'm just going to put that there for a visual.
Oh, thank
Can
you.
I do that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sew on the outside edges before you piece them together.
Okay.
All right. So how I got the measurement, and in my pattern, I'll give you the circle measurement that you need. But in case you have another fan pattern, and you want to adapt from that, if you could hand me that yardstick ruler. Do you have one of these things?
I do. I love that.
I love it.
Yeah.
So it's like you've got your pointy end and you've got your dull end, and it's a compass, and you can slide it along to any side, and actually goes onto a yardstick, which means you could get a 72-inch circle.
Sure, and this is a pencil end, though, right? That's
Yeah, pencil
end,
and
right?
pointy, yeah. So how I did this, again, if you're working from a fan pattern that you're adapting, is I put this point on here.
This is your stitching line. That's not the seam allowance.
It's the stitching line. And then this here, and then I came over to print and piece fuse light. And on this, it's the print and piece, only one side has a little shiny on it. Let me see, that's the shiny. And so I just put this on here, I go like this, and now I've got my center. Yay on that.
And that's going to be the perfect size for your project.
Right.
If you were doing any kind of a project like this, that's a great tip on how to get the perfect circle. That's great.
If you don't have one of these, I would just get it in your, get it.
So it's really, it's this tool, the silver bits, and you just use a 1-inch ruler to slide in.
Right, or a yardstick.
Yeah, but it has to be a 1-inch wide.
Yeah, but I think for the most part they are, unless they're fancy dancy ones.
Yeah.
At least they fit on mine, I don't know. Okay, so Ricky, I would like you now to iron the fusey side down.
All right.
And we're going to do Rosa's technique of preparing your applique.
You mean Rosa Rojas, because not everybody knows who that is, unless you watch the show, and then you'll never forget her, right?
So, again, this will wash out. Now, these are Rosa's tools, and I call that the snake tongue on one side, and then there's the bevel on the other side. And these become the extension of your hands, all right? I put duct tape on the other end because inevitably I pick up the wrong end and go down. So these are my flags. So this is a quick drying fabric glue, which means you have to close it every time because it's quick drying. And the snake tongue holds it, and then this just rolls over on it. Now, when you're doing a curve, note that I'm just finessing the outside edge. I'm not worrying about the ruffle. If you worry about the ruffle, you're going to end up with tucks in your circle. How are we doing on time?
I think we're doing pretty good.
Are we doing pretty good?
Yeah.
Okay. And then once I get it the way I like it, then I can go and smash it down and iron it down or whatever. And so you keep going all the way around, and I'm not going to go all the way around because I realize I'm running out of time. But do you get my drift on this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So.
Because you want that to be a finished edge.
Yeah, finished edge. There you go. Yay. And whatever it looks like on this side is what it's going to look like. Then, to get the ricrac on, this is going to be so revolutionary to you.
And this was the fun thing that you did for this book. That was it.
And the worst part was when I knew I wanted to demonstrate it, I couldn't remember how I did it. So this is just regular cheapo ricrac. You might want to put some fray check on the end, okay? Because it could fray on you, and it just dries clear.
Right.
So I put a little fray check on. Then you just go with your wonderful little
glue stick,
and put it on.
I'm going to say what you see is what you get. And right now you're working on the back side, but when you flip it over to the front side, what you see is what you get, and that's the way it will finish. So if you need to make any adjustments, make them now.
Right. Then you just go over to your sewing machine and you plop it in place, glue it down again, and finish it your preferred method.
And that might be just a straight stitch, really hiding down in the ditch of all that.
Or maybe, no, actually, I'd want to make sure I do some sort of bite into this, like a blanket
because you want to applique, so like a blanket stitch into that. I get that, sure.
And that's how I did that. And
you like it, everyone? Is that a fun block? I think it's a fun block. And you've got your hot flash pattern, which inspired this, but you've got this as well. So
I haven't named it yet. at? Can you help me with that?
No, but our people can.
Okay, okay.
And so look what we've got. Hoops. Everybody, hoops. Guess why do we have hoops? Whoop, 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 whoop. That's right, because the Hoop Sisters are here.
So excited.
Coming up right after the break.
A human map of light opened up the way. A net of silver beads had shone, the dewdrops frozen on the lake. You know my heart is warm, a circle made in the night. My eyes for you, to hold on to. Everything was always there.
Welcome back. I am so excited about the show because embroidery has exploded in the quilting world.
It has, and we really not have done a show on embroidery, not to this extent.
No.
And I know many of you in the audience have embroidery machines. Many of you do too at home. As Alex, so many people now will not only buy their machine, but they buy the embroidery to go with it. It's a really, really fun addition to the toolbox for quilters. And we have probably the queens of embroidery. They are the Hoop Sisters. Please welcome to the show, Lynda Rimmers and Annie Moody.
Lynda.
Welcome, you guys. Seriously, thank you so much for being here.
I have to say, when I found out they were at VDTA, and that's a vacuum machine show that's typically in Vegas, so I think it's moving. The Hoop Sisters are here. I gotta get them here.
Well, guess what?
They're here.
The Hoop Sisters are here. Yay. So we're so excited to get to know you and get to know what you do. So give us a little bit of the backstory. Where did you start with all this? Where was your roots?
Well, we kind of started the Hoop Sisters thing when we were in Paducah, and we would go with friends a lot to Paducah and just bring sewing machines, rent a house and stuff like that. And so we were just experimenting with the digitizing software and actually building the block and the hoop. So that's kind of where it launched from. And then I took it on the road teaching it with my former employer, and Lynda has a sewing machine store.
I have 2 stores, and so she's taught it to dealers, and I taught it to the consumer. So we learned a lot doing that. And back then, the embroidery hoops only had like a 5x7 hoop. That was the biggest hoop.
And how long ago was that? I mean,
2002,
11, 12 years ago.
2003, 2004, something like that.
and do you still have stores?
Yes.
Okay, please share.
Okay, my husband and I have 2 stores in Illinois. He's let me back away from it, thank God, because this is quite a full-time job. So I go into the store a couple hours a day.
But are you going to tell them the name of the store so they might want to come?
A little fun. Sewing Concepts in Woodstock, Illinois, and Carpentersville, Illinois.
Great, great.
Fabulous. That's great. Well, I think we should get into some of the quilts so that people can see what we're so excited about. And let's start with this first quilt, which looks like a feathered star patchwork quilt.
And that, I want to say that was the quilt that you put you on my radar. I walked into a store and I go, what? That's embroidery? So please share.
Okay, well, that's Feathered Star. That's the first quilt that we worked with Sharon Chamber on. We worked with her on 3 of our quilts, and she came to us at Quilt Market and offered to do the quilting part of it.
Nice.
So we did the piecing part, and Sharon did the quilting part. It was a great, great partnership for a few years.
Right, and as we push into those blocks, you see they are not pieced. They are embroidered with thread. It is beautiful and stunning.
There's a little bit of piecing, very little piecing, a lot of embroidery.
A lot of embroidery.
Is it just the edge that's pieced, or is there more piecing
The
in there?
center part is pieced, like a stitch and flip in the hoop.
Oh, okay.
And then the little feathers around
Okay.
the stars are stitched.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent.
Stunning. All right. So now tell us about this next quilt. I love the colors.
The next one is Sewn Seeds, and that was also a collaboration between Sharon and Lynda and I. And we just worked together on it, and we just wanted something that almost looked, we tried to describe it to Sharon, and I'm not sure that we...
Like a tattoo.
Yeah, kind of. But we just want something that was different, that didn't look like block, 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 but more different shapes.
How did you do that with her? I mean, she's in Arizona, right? When this was going on, was this just conceptually or on the phone with Skype? I mean, how could you do that?
Well, we just we talked a little bit. We didn't really do any Skype or anything. We didn't really need to see each other's faces, but we just, little drawings, pictures.
We just sent her the files that we started out with,
right.
And then she would just add on her beautiful quilting.
That's beautiful.
Nice.
That's wonderful.
Nice.
So tell us about the third quilt now.
Okay, so the next quilt is Goose Tracks, and that was an earlier quilt. That's really when we got into the fancier layouts and everything like that. It was very, very popular. And you asked me if these were patterns. These are all available on CD in all formats for all embroidery machines.
Nice.
That's great, because that gives people the freedom, regardless of what brand of machine you're on.
Right.
You've got the files to be able to do it. And I have to say, you are sisters. You're real
Yes.
sisters.
Yes.
It's not like you teamed up and came up with a clever name, right?
No,
so
we're
you
really
do hoop the
sisters.
fabric, and you are sisters.
Right,
So
right.
I said
wonderful.
sisters. I almost said sisters. Anyway, so I love this next quilt because it has so many elements in it that just sing to me.
Was Sharon involved with that one?
Sharon was involved with
Okay.
that one. You can tell.
I do. I see the influence.
Yeah, you can definitely tell. That one was fun too. It's like Lynda took a piece of it, the centerpiece, and I took the applique outside edge just inside the gold area, and we just had fun. I mean, we worked together well, and it was fun working with Sharon. We'd give her the drawings of what we had, and she'd make up the embroidery file and send us the beautiful pictures back, and pretty soon we get the embroidery or the quilting file for it, and we combine it with ours. And before you know it, we had that.
Do you put these in shows? Because I would guess that they could take ribbons. Have you gotten into that?
The quilts that are just ours, people can put them in shows.
But what about you guys?
We don't do that.
Yeah.
We don't do that for that. We
Yeah.
It's not your thing.
It's not
Yeah,
our
it's
thing.
not our thing.
Yeah. So who started sewing first? What's the story
Me.
on that? Okay, and?
I started sewing when I was a real little kid. My grandma taught me how to make dresses, and my mom would teach me how to sew. And I got an old sewing machine when I was probably in high school. Bought a used sewing machine, and it was such an old. It was an old black gray bar. Do you remember gray bar?
No.
In an old wooden case, and it had the little knee pedal to run it. And it had a short in it, so I had to wrap like a hunk of cloth around it. So I wouldn't
So you wouldn't get electrocuted and shocked. Oh my gosh.
And then when I graduated from high school, they bought me a new machine.
Now,
Nice.
okay, so Lynda is sewing at least.
Yes.
Are you just ignoring it completely?
I'm just ignoring it because my worst part of high school and junior high was home ec class. The cooking part, I'm into that.
She's a cook.
Yeah, but the sewing part, I just never really got into because I hated the seam ripper. So I decided that I love what she's doing and everyone else is doing. So I made friends with the seam ripper, and when my kids could pour their own milk and make their own sandwiches, then I started quilting. That was probably in my early 30s.
Nice.
That's great.
Nice.
We're going to look at one more quilt, so tell us about this one.
Okay, so that one is our brand new quilt for this year. It's our 2018 Block of the Month, and we're calling it Sisterhood, and it's in celebration of our 10 years in business.
Oh, congratulations
nice.
for
Thank
10
you.
years. Seriously,
Thank
that's
you.
fabulous. That's great.
So when you do a block of the month, how does that typically roll out in a store, or do they go through you, or how does that all work?
It's through the store, so the store purchases the program, and then they hold the classes, and they can hold the classes in 5 or 10 month sections, and they dole out the files every month, and they teach how to do the specific blocks, and It brings traffic into the store and helps the store out. And in 2 years then, like some of these were all block of the months. In 2 years after we roll it out, it's available as an individual purchase.
And I want to say, you were an educator for a sewing machine company, but this has consumed you full time now, correct?
Oh, yes,
Both of them. It
absolutely.
seems like you're both completely now consumed by this. And I can't let this segment go without bringing something very special in my heart, because you all know I'm a dog lover, and you guys have dogs. You both have
Pugs.
Each one each or two each or?
Oh, you can't have just
Two.
one.
You gotta have two.
So they're cousins.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, we are so excited to get over to the machine and see how the designs come together. I have to say, you're going to tell everybody it's easy peasy,
Oh, yeah.
lemon
It is.
squeezy, right?
yeah.
It is.
So we're going to do that. Right? We're going to hoop it up after the break. That's right.
Three sketchbooks full of ideas. 10 colored fabric pens. One trusted embroidery machine. One DesignWorks software suite for embellishments. 5 perfectly cut flowers. 250 glittering crystals. One dress as colorful as my imagination. Bernina DesignWorks software suite. Cutwork for all the shapes that your creativity can imagine. Paintwork for all the designs that you can picture. Crystal work. Easily add sparkle to your creations. Bernina DesignWorks software suite. Now available at your local Bernina store. Bernina, made to create.
Today we're hooping it up, and we are with Lynda Rimmers. And Lynda, basically we have this thing that we didn't mention called embroidery block.
Yes.
Embroidery block. It's like you're from New Jersey or something, right?
Right.
Embroidery block.
Right.
Embroidery block. So I love that because it really is about quilting and you're using embroidery. So
Exactly.
it's a great name. Let's talk a little bit about the project that you're going to share, which is from your 2018 block of the month.
Right. It's from Sisterhood, and it's one of the blocks in Sisterhood, and it's one that has a combination of the quilting embroidery and the stitch and flip method that we use in the hoop.
Great. And whenever they're participating, they get
They get their
handout,
instructions.
the instructions,
Yep. And we've already stitched steps 1, 2, and 3 in the hoop.
which we will show in just a
Yes.
second. But I know that when you hooped this, I was expecting like a stabilizer or something I would traditionally see in the hoop first. And so let's just walk over to the hoop and show what's there right now. The fabric or the batting or whatever this is that's in the hoop has a special name.
Yes, we named it Battleizer.
The Battleizer.
And we laughed a lot about that.
That's great. And here's what the Battleizer looks like in the package.
Yes.
But it's behaving like a batting.
It's a batting stabilizer combination.
So you're
So you don't need any additional stabilizer. The stabilizer is built right into the batting. So you can do all this stitching on your hoop and not distort your batting at all.
All right, that's great. Now, one of the other questions I asked right as we were starting into this is people that do go down the journey of doing embroidery or quilted embroidery or quilting blocks like that we're about to do, are there any pitfalls or any common mistakes that you tend to see when people get into this?
They don't follow the directions.
So the advice is
Follow the directions.
All right, but other than that, truly, it's very simple.
Yes, we use specific products and specific techniques that work. So if you do it, it'll come out with a successful block.
All right, you said just a minute ago that we've already done 1, 2, and 3. So
Right.
can you point out what was step number 1?
Step number 1, do you want me to show on?
Yeah, sure.
On this?
On that, sure.
Yeah.
Let's just do it
So
right here.
step number 1 is hooping your battleizer, and you're stitching a placement stitch. And you have the option of step number 2, putting an additional wool batting on top of it.
And when you do the wool batting on top of that, you can see that it's done it with a zigzag stitch.
Right.
Now, we did that, but it's white thread, so you can hardly see.
And we recommend you use wash-away thread, the wash-away thread right there.
All right, so this is red, but you're using wash-away, because this is something that needs to go away. It's just temporarily working. Yeah, great.
And so if you don't want to do the wool, you can just skip it. And then the third step, because it's like paper piecing in your embroidery hoop, it's going to stitch lines where your fabric's going to go.
And that gives you a guide as to know where to place your fabrics. And that's what we have pre-done before we started this segment. I also wanted to point out, because as we stitched this around, we were talking just up here on the edge where it looks like the batting or the wool didn't quite get stitched down. Is that a problem at this point?
Not at all, because what's going to happen when this block is done, we're going to trim off the battleizer and the back of the block, and so that wool has to stay inside that placement area. So it'll be inside. It'll be fine.
And that was a zigzag stitch. Now the machine is doing it. You're not turning it into a zigzag. You just hit the button and it zigzags. But it's okay if it misses a little bit. You wouldn't want it to.
On this step, yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now let's do this is new for me to do the flip and stitching inside the hoop.
So our next step is to place our fabric in this area right here.
And is this right side up?
Right side up.
Okay.
Batik, you could never tell.
I know. I think you've got it right, just like that.
I think that's it, yeah. So what I like to do is on this first one, to try to have it like a 1/4 inch past that first stitching line, roughly.
Right. And it's actually exceeding a good, I don't know, 3/4 to an inch past everything. So you've got a hefty, generous seam allowance out there for now.
Yes, yeah.
All right.
And then we're going to stitch this. And this step is with wash-away thread.
Right, and now we're not using water soluble right now, wash away, but yes, that's what you would do.
Right.
And I have to tell everybody, if you've ever said, I can't sew a straight seam, well, now you can, because that was a beautiful straight seam.
Your only job is to keep your fabric smooth, so that's why
you're just kind of gently tugging.
Just gently making sure it's not gonna fold over or anything. Done?
Done, right, okay.
So now the next step would be to change out to your regular sewing thread.
Because you really have to piece.
Yep. So this is your strip of fabric. You'll put this right side down. And make your raw edges even. Yep, right sides together. Raw edges even. Oh, and a little tip, because sometimes this happens. Make sure when you flip it,
it's high enough up to cover that point. Yeah, because I bet you'll say things if you don't.
Yeah. So I'll just...
Suddenly the audience seemed like, I know what you're talking about.
So we'll put that right sides together and let it stitch the seam. And this, again, is with regular thread. It's making a little knot.
And this is really how your entire BOM is done, as far as you're just going to put everything in the hoop. I mean, there's really...
You throw fabric at it and it comes out great.
It's great.
Then we flip it up.
Now, would you trim that at this point? Would there have been any
because we were careful placing the first piece at a 1/4 inch and we placed this,
essentially
we don't really need to trim it. Now, if this were dark fabric and this were light fabric, this little dark would show through, then I would trim it.
Okay.
But this isn't going to show.
And you could, if you needed to, you could take the hoop off the machine right now and then put it back on and it's still in the right location. Yeah.
So now I have to flip this up and just kind of keep it smooth.
Yeah, there it goes.
There it goes.
Well, it's really mesmerizing to watch. We're sitting here being very quiet, but it's just because it's entertaining us.
Now, at this point, I need to trim it. I like to leave a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch on the outside edge of my block for later. And then if you don't have access, you can take the hoop off, and I need to trim this to a 1/4 inch.
While you're trimming that, can I revisit, not revisit, but you and your sister Annie have a third sister.
We do. Her name's Arlene.
Arlene, and is she a quilter just like the two of you?
No, she doesn't sew.
Not at all.
No, she's like 6 years younger than me, and we think she's adopted.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because goodness gracious, if you're going to have the jeans, you need to be sewing, right?
You know, she owns an embroidery machine.
She owns one.
She bought one to save money. Who does that?
I don't know.
She has a business and she makes the shirts for the employees. So she bought the shirt or the machine to embroider the shirts, and I digitized her little logo, and she just does
and
that.
That's what she does.
That's it. Yeah,
so
that's
there
it.
she is.
So then this one is
That's
right sides
fabulous.
together.
No sewing machine, just an embroidery machine, right?
Just an embroidery machine.
That's great. So yeah, right sides together.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fact that it makes a little tack stitch to start it. And I do see that your effort is really just kind of gently keeping
Just
things
keeping
aligned.
it, yeah. You don't want that foot to push the fabric.
I honestly have never seen this before. I mean, I've seen so many things, but I've never, and just call me living in a cave or something, but I truly haven't seen that done in a hoop. And
So-
it's perfect.
It is. Now the next step is wash away thread, and what it's going to do, because this is loose and these are loose, it's going to come along and tack that whole thing down. So we're not going to change the thread, we'll just use this. And again, your job is just to keep this little guy from flipping over.
I see.
And then just keep it smooth.
And it's, I mean, not only, it's almost like there's going to be trapunto in here now when it's done, because you've already got that wool batting in there.
Right? And it's only in the black. It's not in the seam allowance at all.
I see that, yeah. So that is the actual sewing line, and you're going to cut your seam allowance outside of that.
Right.
Now, what we opted to do was have you show now the stitching. Oh, but isn't it going to start doing fancy stuff now?
Now is the point where we put the back on. Yes, now is the point where we put the back on. So on this quilt, it has a pieced back.
Okay.
So you would take it off.
Oh my word.
Oh my word.
This is this is new.
And this is just a big old half square triangle. And the directions will tell you which orientation the triangle goes to make the pattern on the back of the quilt.
Okay.
And all you need to do is turn this over about a 1/2 inch and line up that
Line up this.
with the corner.
Okay.
And then do the same thing over here.
Lining up the diagonal with the corner. Now, how does it stay? No, how does it know to stay there?
Because I told it to.
Oh no! It is.
You can use a little spray adhesive if you
Okay.
want, but the battleizer has a rough edge
And
side
it's gonna
to it
keep
on
it on
one, and
there.
it'll kind of yeah. So then I'll let you put it
Oh
on.
my! I'm scared because I don't want that to fall off.
Yeah, and I check it after I get it under there.
Okay. But you know, honestly, this just snaps right on. Ha ha ha! I say. Okay.
And then we can just peek, and
Yeah, I feel it hasn't moved.
it's good.
All right, that's
so then we'll just let it stitch, and I'm going to just keep my hand under there and just make sure it's smooth.
I can imagine that if you didn't do something like that, where you're saying you're holding your hand underneath, that it might drop down or
Make
get
a
flipped
Dunlap.
over, and then you're going to be a little bit where you're going to say things.
Right.
Yeah. So you're back to knowing what I'm
We
talking.
call it a Dunlap, where it Dunlaps over and you got to take it out.
That's great.
So after this is done, I would definitely take that hoop off and check the back and make sure it's in the right place before you finish out the block.
Okay. Because if you absolutely had to, you could get a
You could
samurai hook.
pick it out. and-
Yeah, you absolutely had to. You could, because it's just a straight stitch. Let's take a peek at it.
Okay.
Okay, I want to look at that. Come on, oop. It's doing something. All right, so I'll come to the center here.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. I mean, you did. You got it perfectly lined corner to corner. That's great. All right, so now I'm getting to the excitement stage, as
Okay.
if I haven't been excited enough. But this is where you would put in a decorative thread.
Yes.
And start doing the wonderful decorative stitching and quilting at the
Right.
same time, right?
Right.
So I'm going to let you hit the button.
Okay.
So that'll get started, but then let's show them
Okay.
what it looks like finished, okay? We'll let the machine just do its thing while I think it wants it to hold.
Oh, okay.
And that's a new thing for me too.
Okay.
It doesn't want to be just a quick
Doesn't
touch,
want me
it
to-
wants a little press.
Okay.
It's like the camera, if you just touch it, it focuses. It wants you to press and hold.
Oh, okay.
So-
Thanks.
all right, so here we are to this stage, putting down the middle stripe. you guys get ready for this, all right? There's what we've done. Put this on. I'm gonna have to guess that the next one, I'm gonna peek.
It's the back,
I'm gonna
probably.
peek. Yep, the next one's got its back. I see it's got a back, but it's gonna reveal. It's gonna reveal when I turn it.
It is. You ready?
Are you guys ready? 1, 2, 3.
Ta-da! There's the back. So now it's got a thread color in there, and it's going to stitch all this quilting. And you also put the same thread in the bobbin. Same thread in the bobbin.
Right. So that you get
yes.
this beautiful stitching on the back side as well.
And then we switch to this color thread and the same thread in the bobbin.
OMG. I love that.
Thank you.
I truly love that. I know that you guys weren't expecting this in the control room, but I'm going to walk back. Stay here. Okay. I'm going to walk back. I want to flip the back side of this quilt to the front side so that you can see that the back side is stitched and gorgeous as well. Isn't that fabulous, everybody? Yes! I am so excited. What's your sister going to do whenever we come back?
Annie is going to show you how we put the blocks together.
All right, that's what we're going to do, so don't go anywhere. On the next Quilt Show, inspiration comes in many forms, and sometimes it's from a trip to a foreign land, or perhaps right around the corner at your local deli.
I use deli paper.
I'm liking these tips today.
To protect your iron. Sometimes even digging in the past can get your creative juices flowing.
See the amazing mini mosaic quilts of Cheryl Lynch, inspired by a trip to Israel, and learn how to manipulate these mini squares into a mini mosaic masterpiece.
Plus, Cheryl also has a curvilicious tip for the next time you want to whip out a bouncing baby quilt in record time.
Also, TQS superfan and mixed media teacher Lauren Volchek is showing us how an alarming deadline helped her to discover an inexpensive way to do silk screening with impressive results.
We have a packed show with ideas and inspiration. Join us. I'm here with part 2 or part A or part B, Annie, right?
Yes, yes.
So you've made these wonderful quilts. You've shown, my gosh, you know, what the machine can do.
Yes, it's amazing what embroidery machines can do. I mean, just use your imagination and you can come up with anything. But doing this in the quilt block in the hoop, you are able to come up with these stunning designs, even if you're new at it, which is very exciting.
Yeah, and the thing is that when you look at the whole quilt, you're going, wow, but when you think about them being made block by block by block, you're going to show us now how to put those blocks together.
Because you don't want to just be left with a pile of blocks because it doesn't get you very far.
So let's just take a look at these 2 blocks. They're just beautiful. And I'm going to turn it over.
Okay. All right, so you can see that I think a lot of people came up and took a look at the back of the quilts, they have sashing, and that sashing covers the raw edge of your back of the quilt.
It's kind of a la Georgia bone steel, right? Yeah. Okay, so you've got some really cool tips for this.
All right, so what you have to do basically is, since we've already got the back on, everything's already quilted, we have to be able to get it down to as if you're doing a quilt top, which means we just want to sew just the fabric on the front. So our goal is to be able to cut away the battleizer right up to the basting stitch and also the backing fabric right along with it. So we have this awesome tool. It's called a Trimmer by George 2.0. And it has a metal edge on it. And that metal edge on the ruler is what enables you to be able to sneak that in there.
There we go.
Yeah.
So it actually comes right down, right? Yeah, okay.
And that's going to protect your fabric, because if you were to cut this with a scissors...
I don't even want to think about it.
More words, right?
I don't even want to think about it. The language of quilting.
Right. So you have to take that metal edge and you just squeeze it right in between the battleizer and the fabric on the front. And then you lay it down. And then you just just do a double check, make sure there's no fabric under there. And then you're gonna take your rotary cutter, and you're gonna need a 60mm rotary cutter.
How come?
Because the metal, the plastic of the, right.
Yeah.
Yep, that metal is attached to the ruler, and it's gonna give it a little extra height. So then you just take your 60mm rotary cutter, and then just cut that away. Whoop. Maybe it wasn't sharp enough or I didn't press enough, but give it another whack.
There we go.
And then all that's gone, and you can see that it's cut right up to the base.
Did you guys design that?
We had, as you can see, the name on it is Trimmer by George. And we had a sample maker of ours. Her name is Martha, and her husband's name is George.
Oh.
And they were, I think she was in her late 70s, and she was doing one of our samples, our double wedding ring sample.
And George came up with it?
Well, she was using the scissors, and she found out that she kept nicking away at part of the quilt that's going to make it fall apart once you sew it together. And George was a tool and die maker by trade, and so he went to his garage, got a piece of metal, crimped it, and this is our 2.0. So our very first one was just a piece of like gutter material metal, but it worked, and it was such an awesome tool. And so we just wanted to add the acrylic ruler to it.
Do one more.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's just, I have not seen that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I would think that this is a must-have. Nice. So you do that on all four sides, right?
Well, that depends. If it's the outside edge of your quilt and you need to sew binding to it, I still didn't get that. Then you will need to trim it 1/4 inch through all the layers.
Okay, so the inner seams do this, outer just 1/4 inch, just like a your quilt.
Right.
Yeah.
For instance, if this was the corner of your quilt, you would then take the ruler side, because it is a ruler, and you would lay it 1/4 inch on that basting stitch and cut that away.
Perfect.
And for these seams, these are going to be your seams sewn to something else. So you would just align the ruler right there along that basting stitch.
Okay.
And cut that 1/4 inch.
Perfect.
Okay. So that's how you do that part of it.
So now what?
So then when you get it all trimmed up and ready to go, then it's time to sew your blocks together. So what you're going to do, I have just a sample of another quilt that we've done. And I'm going to show you the front side of one and the back side of another. So here's your quilt, and you're going to just lay it down. You're going to pin really good. You're going to pin through the seam and bring it back through the block. And you're going to just match any match points that you may have. And then you're just going to, you can see where I've stitched it in red thread, hopefully. You just do your seam.
Okay.
And then just like a normal quilt top, you're going to press to one side. On the next row, alternate the other direction. And then you're going to need your sashing. Now, on the Trimmer by George ruler, we do have markings for binding and sashing. And I think they're looking at that backwards that way. But sashing, so you cut a 1.5 inch by the width of fabric. And if you need to join them together, you can do that, but you would just cut your that's the width of your sashing.
Okay.
So on your sashing, you would then just make a little bias strip. You would take your raw edges.
Oh, this is bias? No.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, that wrong word.
Okay.
But you would just take your raw edges, wrong sides together, and have them meet in the middle, and then give it a good press. So your sashing strip is all ready. And as you can see here, we have it attached to here. And what you do is you're going to take your center where your raw edges meet, and you're going to line that up perfectly with your seam.
Okay.
And you can see I have a little blue there. If you want to use a little bit of like
a glue stick, a fabric glue stick. Yeah, I probably would want to.
You can do that, or you can use Wonder Tape.
Okay.
Or if you're comfortable and you've done it and it's not going to move, you don't have to use anything at all. But that's how you would match it. The raw edges where they meet along with that seam. They lay it down. And we suggest, some people call this a serpentine stitch. I'm not sure if everyone has the same definition or lingo of that. But just choose a nice stitch that goes back and forth like that, and you would sew that right along the edge. Now, what we do, we have this in red. You would want to match your needle thread with your sashing. In the bobbin, you're going to want to put a clear monofilament thread
like
in there.
Right here, you've matched it.
Right, we've matched it here. And if you can see on this one, on this row, this is a clear monofilament thread. And here we've matched it with our sashing.
It disappears. You don't
does.
even know it's there. right?
Yep, and I think that if people have to come up real close to the quilts, they have to be looking for it in order to find it. It blends right in with the quilting.
Well, I saw it at VDTA and I couldn't believe it because you're going, no, it can't be. Yep, that's how you did it.
That's how we do it. Now, that's how you do it if you have a quilt blocks that have seams that go out to the edges, but sometimes you have a quilt block, for instance, that all the fabric on the front is all the same fabric.
Then you have another trick.
There's a different technique that you can do for that. Basically, here's my block. It's going to have this block I've trimmed so that you can sew rows and other blocks too on all four sides. And you're going to trim it so that the battleizer and your backing fabric is completely gone, just like we did in the little demo.
Using the George?
Using the George.
Okay.
You're going to have to cut your fabric on the outside. Instead of 1/4 of an inch, you're going to cut it 3/4 of an inch.
All right.
And that's because this is going to become your sashing on the back. So if we take the 4 that are sewn together, you can see how it was trimmed. And we just did a double fold right here.
Okay, I'll
See
try
that?
it right here.
Okay.
Let me see.
Yeah, we may
All
have
right,
to turn
so
it.
I go like this, right?
Yes.
And then one like this,
Right.
and then you're rolling it basically.
Right. You would
Okay.
have that sewn to another block first, but once they're sewn together, that's how you end up with this. And then you.
Oh wait, you sew it to the other block first.
Right, sew it to
okay,
the other block
then
first.
you do. Then
Right,
you do this.
right.
Okay, got it.
And then after that, you have it sewn down. The other technique, it has a lot more strength than this. So we like to add just a little serpentine stitch right through the middle of the seam, and that helps strengthen that.
And let's look at the front of it because it's just. You don't even see it.
You don't. It's
this
amazing.
is just amazing. Okay, now you had mentioned at the beginning of the show with us that you were doing other things besides quilts.
We are.
Some fun projects.
Right. We've been doing quilts for 10 years, and although we love doing quilts, we like to do little detours sometimes. So we'll just show you some of the fun detour things that
And
we
here
have.
comes your sister.
Oh,
Ricky.
we're coming over here to see all the magic and the fun stuff.
But we have just different little themes and that we're going to be working with to do different projects. These are just a couple little makeup bags. We're going to be doing a little bit more with embroidery, so you can see that there's a cute little embroidery on each one.
Oh, look at the little is that,
Yep,
is
it's
that
a little makeup bag.
How cute is that? Oh, I know. Yeah, just pretend.
We might have something you
The
like
shaving
later
kit
on.
bag is coming. I know
We'll just
it is.
use different fabric and you'll be happy.
That's right,
An eyeglass case.
Oh, wow. Now, this would be a really good one-day project at your local shop to get familiar with the whole process.
Absolutely. And that might be just like a couple-hour class. This would be a great, like, all-day class. And it's basically a giant eyeglass case, but you could put your curling iron in it. You can put your flat iron in it.
Yeah, you can put your curling iron in it, Ricky.
You notice how often I use the curling iron.
Oh, look, you even have, like, protective in there.
Right, yep.
Love that. Okay.
So that's one of the
excited
projects.
yet?
About other things, but yes, I'm back over here on the way this was sewn together. Let's just put it that way.
Are you
all
a
right?
coffee drinker?
I am a coffee drinker.
Okay,
Oh,
this-
especially tea. I love tea.
Here you go. If you have a hot cup, you hate to throw something away, and
That's
people will
great.
always ask you where you got that, and you can tell them you made it. We have for tea, hot chocolate. These are stain coasters, so you don't have to worry about making the stain. The embroidery machine can do it for you.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
So we got tea, coffee, hot chocolate, and there's even a wine one, but she took it.
I took it. You want to go out to dinner tonight? Now, this is really exciting because the second generation's coming in.
Yes, we're very excited about that. My daughter, Sarah, she's been learning to digitize.
How old is she?
She's 28.
Okay.
And she just started working for Hoop Sisters, and she's the next generation Hoop Sister. So,
That's
and we
fabulous.
also have my other daughter, Aubrey, who's our marketing and sales director.
Wow.
So,
Nice. Keep it in the family.
Yeah, we're keeping it in the family. So her assignment was to come up with some wedding projects. So there she is, Sarah.
Oh, there she is.
And then she did a dessert table, she did a gift table sign, and these can be framed. They can just be put on an easel. You can put this on the ring bearer. Here comes the bride on the way down the aisle. Flip it over for on the way back. That says just married. And she did a ring bearer pillow. She had a good time.
That's great.
It was a lot of fun. And These go on the bottom of a wine glass. So you would put your stemware in there so that when they picked it up to drink, you could then see Mr. or
You could
Mrs.
put your name on it, Alex.
Yeah.
There you go. And some wine glasses we found were bigger, so we did in a couple sizes. And she also did a cute little thank you note project. So
Wow, that's
so,
it done right
yeah.
on paper?
Done embroidered right on paper.
That's fabulous. Wonder, what do you think, everybody? Yeah, I think that's great.
So you guys do not travel. You can't. You're running a business.
Right.
How does a person get your stuff, Lynda? I mean, how I have a machine store near my house and I want to do a Hoop Sisters project. What do I do?
Well, hopefully your local sewing machine dealer will carry our things.
Uh-huh.
And if they don't, you could always go to our website.
And then find out who is having them? Or
You could find out who's having them, and you can also purchase directly from us.
Oh, okay.
So a shop could contact you.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
And what's the website?
Hoopsisters.com.
Duh.
It could have been LyndaandAnnie.com.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or
Nobody would
Annie
have
and
known.
Lynda.
No, Hoop Sisters work. Alex, thank you much for the top of the
Sure.
show to show us how to do the ricrac and the wonderful project. I thought that was great. And I don't want to forget that it came from Hot Flash. Remember
Originally,
the original
yes.
Hot Flash. It's
And
such
I am having a pattern created for this.
That's great. And ladies, thank you so much. It's been so
Thank
much
you for
fun
having us.
to have you on the show. And everybody, let's whoop it up one more time. And everybody remember, it's a new day every day. That's right. Thank you.